What's up YouTube, Dale here from Zephyr War Games, bringing you our first of the anime deck for this anime month, and we have gone with Buster Blader. Now I know technically Buster Blader isn't its own deck from the anime, but it's just too good not to show you, and it did appear, so I am going to do it. With all of that out of the way, please smash that like button, hit that notification bell and subscribe. Do not miss out on any more upcoming content. I'm going to bring you the full profile plus 2 combos at the end, and I'm also going to show you alternative budget options depending on where you want to be taking this and how serious you want to build it. Now let's dive head first into the Buster Blader profile. So of course, Buster Blader deck, which means you're going to play Buster Blader. Now I'm currently testing out 2 Buster Bladers and 1 of the Buster Blader Destruction Sword for the pure fact that yes, you do need to see this guy, but you don't really want him in the hand. You're going to Foolish Barrel him a couple of times. Once you've built up your full lock, that is pretty much a game. Your opponent will struggle to break it because you'll be locking them out of the extra deck. You'll also have a Dragoon backup negate, and even if they did Dark Rule and no more you, they still got to break the board of incredibly powerful monsters without being able to go into their extra deck unless they can get rid of the Destruction Sword linked as well. Then the most important card is the Buster Whelp. It is a shame that this card specifically will only trigger when it is normal summoned, but it is so important in the deck because this is a 1-card combo to give you a Buster Lock. And then off the back of that as well, should you get any other components, any other extenders, you then turn that into a full lock, which ultimately lets you get a Dragoon plus the Buster Lock alongside the Buster Destruction Sword extra deck lock as well. Speaking of which, we do play 2 of the Destruction Sword for the pure fact that if you open it up, it can suck a little bit. You could cut it to 1 if you wanted to. There are ways around it and kind of go from there, but it's kindly down to you. Then, if extra deck is not your opponent's thing, well, you can go with the Wizard Destruction Sword, which basically turns off the graveyard. Very specific. It is a card that can easily be cut. Both the versions I'm going to show you are a 41 card deck and a 42 card deck, so you can easily cut this card out should you want and have it as a side option. Then onto the first extenders. So the first one we do have is Magician's Souls. Now, taking into account how expensive this card is right now, I will offer you some budget options should you have it. This is the best extender for you to get because it does put Dark Magician in the graveyard, and the reason that we do that is that we then want to be using Magical Eyes Fusion rather than having to play Red Eyes and Red Eyes Fusion. Now, alternatively, if you don't have Magician's Souls, that's where Red Eyes Fusion comes into play, and you will be relying more heavily on your extender of Jester Conflict, or you can put in Adhara, because Adhara is another free level 1 summon. And the idea behind this is that between Adhara, Jester Conflict, Magician's Souls, Where Art Thou, and of course the Buster Whelp, you're going to want to make sure that you get to the Buster Whelp as consistently as you possibly can, and vice versa. So ultimately the way you look at it is Where Art Thou is your extender or it is your starter, depending on what you open up with. Jester Conflict can definitely be bumped to 2, and that's where you could arguably put in 2 Adhara, or you just need a level 1 that can special summon itself for free. Or if you're not worried too much about that component, you can of course upgrade it and put in any monster that can just special summon itself for free. Now obviously for the budget options for Magician's Souls, we've just gone over that, but you can look at upgrading the deck with other options as well, looking at stuff like Pot of Prosperity, which we'll talk about a little bit later on. Then finally, we do have the 1 Dark Magician. Now, whether you are going to go into Paladin or whether you are going to probably go into Dragoon, depending on which one you have access to, this one has tried to minimize the unnecessary bricks, which is again why we don't have the Red Eyes Fusion and the Red Eyes Black Dragon, and we've kind of gone for this particular version. If you want to increase the consistency and not have to rely on getting to Magician's Souls and the Buster Whelp to get you your full combo, then you can start looking back at Red Eyes Fusion because it does the exact same job. You just need to add 2 additional cards to the list, and that's where you'd probably go, right, well, I'm going to rely a little bit less on Conflict, or I'm going to rely a little bit less on the Buster Whelp Wizard, and kind of build through that style of play. Speaking of the spells, we are playing triple Where Art Thou, so ultimately, as long as you control a level 1 monster, whether it be Conflict, whether it be Buster Whelp or Magician's Souls, you're then going to be able to get the missing piece that you need. So you're either going to be able to combo this off of one of your 3 extenders to get you your Buster Whelp, which is your starter to get you everything you need, or you're going to combo off of your Whelp and get you into a Magician's Souls, or of course into a Jester Convict as a free summon. The only time that this becomes difficult is if you're doing it the Adhara way, because ultimately you need Adhara first, because it can't summon itself down. But once you've done that, the idea is that you're level 1, you'd then just go right to Conflict rather than Souls and stuff like that. Again, depending on what you have access to, I've gone with 2 talents. You can go with 2 Prosperity, you can go with 2 Droplets, you can even go with 2 Dark Ruler No Mores, purely for the way that this deck works. Destruction Sword can't attack directly. So ultimately, if you did want to main deck Dark Ruler No More, we're just having that option to be able to play through hand traps or be able to turn off an opponent's board should we go second. So this is ideally your Droplet slot, your Dark Ruler slot, or your Triple Tactics slot that basically go, right, okay, well, if you've Impermed, Veiled, or Ashed my Buster Whelp, I'm going to Talents to draw 2, which can get me into my extender, which can still help me complete my plays and go from there. For the last one was the 1 Magical Eyes Fusion. Of course, you would take this out for Red Eyes Fusion, so it is a straight, simple swap. The 1 for 1, because there are ways of getting into your Buster Destruction Sword, and of course your Whelp, but you've also got Magician's Souls, you've got your Conflict. It is just technically another free extender. The 1 Called by the Grave, because obviously it's better than Cross Out in the fact that you don't need to rely on your opponent to play specific things, and it lets you play around a lot more, and it is only at 1. Foolish Burial. Now obviously the idea behind this is you're going to put your Buster Whelps to the graveyard, you put a Dragon to the graveyard, you're setting yourself up for either revival plays, or you're setting yourself up for the fusion plays that you might later on need. Onto the trap cards, we are playing triple Prologue of Destruction Sword. This card deserves a foil printing, people. This card is nuts. Send 1 Destruction Sword card and 1 Buster Blader monster from your deck to the graveyard except itself. And then you can special summon 1 Buster Blader from your extra deck or graveyard, but destroy it during the end phase. So special on a Buster Dragon basically means, here you go, have a free synchro for Foolish Burial and 2 cards. Its graveyard effect is that you can banish this card from the graveyard. This turn, Destruction Sword cards you control cannot be destroyed by battle or card effect. Keep in mind that the Buster Whelp is a Destruction Sword, so you're able to protect that as well. We've got double memories. So you've got your Synchro Trap. Well, now let's have a Fusion Trap. But the Fusion Trap works better from the grave. Discard 1 Destruction Sword card to special summon a Buster Blader from your deck. Okay, kind of cool. Don't want to be doing that though. I want to be banishing this card from my graveyard to fusion summon a Buster Blader, the Dragon Destroyer, using monsters from the extra deck by using monsters by banishing the fusion materials listed on it. So just banish a Buster Blader and a Dragon, which I've already done with Prologue. So what more could I need? We've got the 1 Flash. You can play 2 if you want to, just to make sure that it's an active target for Trap Trick. But the idea behind Flash is if you control a fusion monster that lists a Buster Blader as material, you banish all monsters your opponent controls when a card or effect is activated that targets a Buster Blader monster or monsters you control, except during a dash set you banish this card from the graveyard to negate that effect. So that's kind of cool. But the idea is you just go, cool, flip Flash, banish everything, and it's like, whoa, broken, bro. And then finally, I still love Red Rain in this deck. So the reason behind Red Rain, which is really nice, is that you don't need to rely on link monsters heavily. Plus, once you've got your Destruction Sword and your Buster Dragon out, plus you get your your Dragoon, they're all going to be level 8s. So even if you do go, oh, you know what, I'm going to flip this now, you still keep your Dragoon, you still keep your Buster Blader and your Destruction Sword, and you still keep the Buster Dragon. So the idea behind this is if you control a level 8 or higher synchro, banish all monsters on the field except the monster or monsters with the highest level. Also, the remaining face-up monsters on the field are unaffected by other card effects except their own until the end of this turn. So keep in mind as well, it doesn't need to banish your opponent's stuff. So should your opponent go Dark Ruler No More, you can chain this, and by chaining it, as it resolves as Chain Link 2, off the back of that, you're then making sure that your Goon, your Buster Dragon, and your Buster Bladed Destruction Sword are then unaffected by said Dark Ruler No More. If a Dark Dragon monster is synchro summoned, you can, while this card is in the graveyard, you can add it back to the hand. So you get to recycle it. The reason we're playing 2 is because Trap Tricks, so it is a Trap Trick target. So that is how you get around that little loop as well. And that's also how you get to take it up another notch. Great synergy. What more could you possibly ask for? So now I'm going to show you the two engines budget depending. Now, if you are Mr. Moneybags, you've got everything you need, then the best engine that I would suggest for you would be a crossout engine of triple crossout, 1 Veiler, you can play 1 or 2 Imperm, entirely up to you, and then 1 or 2 Ash. Now the reason behind this is, once you get your 1-card combo off, you're basically putting all your opponent's monsters to defense, making them all dragon, negating their effects. Yes, they can still go into the extra deck, but the idea behind that is that your core card gets hit by Ash, Imperm, Veiler. These are all your Achilles heels. You want to stop them as much as possible. These are the best ones to go to. This will take the deck to a 42-card deck, unless you take out the one of the Wizard Dragon. Your other option, should you be on more of a tighter budget, and I highly advise everyone picks this engine up now, is going to be the Dogmatica engine with the 1 Schism. So you'd play the 1 Schism, you'd play the triple Nadir, you can then play the 1 Philelius and the 1 Ecclesia and the 1 Philelius at minimum. You can bump up Ecclesia if you want to, and then you'd play the 1 Maximus just for that additional play. Now, by doing so, you would adapt your action deck a little bit for Maximus route, but the idea behind this is, even if you've got full combo, you can build your full combo, add the full board, and then just by adding the Nadir Servant to your opening hand, your board then goes Goon, Buster Lock, Buster Dragon, and then a Winder. So it's literally like, you can't special summon, or you can only special summon once, so if you want to special summon down a Prank, by all means do so. But you're going to be locked out of the extra deck as well. It's a bit of overkill, but it's still a very good option. Off the back of that, Ecclesia is a free summon, Philelius is a free summon. As long as you don't use Ecclesia's effect, you're not locked out of the extra deck, so you can continue to play should you need to. And then you get to go from there. So the idea is you just got a lot of potential with this particular engine. And it does give you fallback plans, so that if your opponent does stop your starting Buster Blader combo, you can just go, right, cool, full, let's go onto our Nadir combo, let's set up a Winder. They're not going to be able to break the Winder. The next turn, you're then going to link the Winder off with the Buster Blader Destruction Sword, go into the Link 2, go into anything you need, and you're going to be able to build from there. So, if you do decide to go with this engine, the little changes that you might want to make to the extra deck is you could put in, again, budget options. Actually, I'll show you the budget options later when we go through the extra deck. So the extra deck, of course, we are playing the double Buster Blader Destruction Sword. He is the boss. He is insane. Now, obviously, he can't attack directly, but he does gain 1,000 attack for every dragon. I believe it's on your opponent's field. So he can't attack directly. He gains 1,000 attack and defense for each dragon monster your opponent controls or in their graveyard. You change all dragon type monsters your opponent controls to defense, and dragon type monsters in your opponent's possession cannot activate their effects. If it attacks a defense position monster, inflict piercing battle damage. So, stank. He is going to get bossed up. Off the back of that as well, you are playing double Buster Dragon. So this is insanely cool. It's nice that it's got a decent reprint, so it made it a little bit easier and cheaper to get. So you're very rarely going to actually hard summon synchro this. You're going to be busting it out with the trap card. All monsters your opponent controls become dragon type. Once per turn, if you do not control Buster Blader monster, you can type 1 Buster Blader in your graveyard and special summon it. Once per turn, during your opponent's turn, you type 1 Buster Blader monster you control, equip it with 1 Destruction Sword monster from your graveyard. This is a quick effect. So obviously once you get the Destruction Sword to the graveyard, that's how you then go, cool, target this, equipped it, locked out the extra deck, goodbye. Obviously if you go with the Schism package, these are your 2 Shaddoll monsters you want, Apcline to send to get the Schism, Winder to summon. Keeping in mind as well, if you're like, well, what if I don't have dark targets? Well, you have plenty. Your Conflict is a dark, your Souls is a dark, Destruction Sword is a dark. Off the back of that as well, you still have the Dark Magician if they do stop your Dragoon play. So you do have alternative options. Do not worry. Then, of course, as we continue, we do have the 1 Goonie Boy and we do have the 1 Paladin. Paladin is, of course, a budget option. Off the back of that as well, you could also make the Dark Magician the Dragon Knight as an alternative just to protect your back row. So you'll be protecting stuff like your Red Rain. You'll be protecting stuff like the Destruction Sword from being being Twin Twisted, being Lightning Stormed, everything like that. Continuing on, of course, for the other synchro, we do have the Abyss, because keep in mind when you cheese this out using a trap card, it gets destroyed during your end turn. So the idea is you lock your opponent out of the extra deck, you use the Buster Whelps effect to unequip itself from the Buster Blader, sync it with the Buster Dragon. Your board is then Buster Blader Destruction Sword plus Abyss plus a Goon, and then worst case scenario, you can cheese out another Buster Dragon, and you just get the lock all over again. For the Link monsters, we've got the 1 Striker Dragon. Now, the reason I've put Striker Dragon in here is through the 2-card combo, in order to get your full lock, you need another dragon in the grave if you're not using Red Eyes Fusion. If you're using Red Eyes Fusion, you don't need to worry about it. But with the Striker Dragon, what you do is you just turn your Whelp into it. Very nice and easy. And then your Extender plus the Striker Dragon can go into your Halley Firebrats, can go into your your Verte Anaconda, there we go, and can also go into your Protector Whelp, so you don't really need to worry too much about that. It is just another alternative option. Speaking of the Link 2s, of course we've got the one, the Protector Whelp, so this is purely if your opponent stops your first play. You can then get into this. This will then allow you to Foolish Burial 1 Destruction Sword, so that sets up your fusion plays. It can also set you up protection plays as well. Halley Firebrax, the idea behind this is it gets you Destruction Sword out of the deck. So the idea behind this is you would use your Buster Whelp as it is a tuner, plus your extender, go into Halley Firebrax. Halley Firebrax brings out the Destruction Sword Dragon Buster. You then turn the Dragon Buster into Striker Dragon. You then use Striker Dragon plus Halley Firebrax, go into Protection Whelp, or more commonly go into your Verte. You've got the 2 dragons in the graveyard. You're set up for not only your Magicalized Fusion plays to get you into a Goonie Boy, but you've also got the plays to set you up the Buster Blader and the Destruction Sword. Link, wham, bam, thank you, ma'am. The last 2 cards is an access code plus a Celine, because believe it or not, some of the Destruction Swords are actually spellcasters. Your Conflict is spellcaster, your Souls is a spellcaster, and the Wizard is a spellcaster. So if you don't want to be playing this, you can play the BLS Link free, should you have access to it. If not, it's not a mandatory usage. The idea behind this is just to give you an alternative route, because you can just go Celine, bring back anything. If you want a budget option to access code, you would go into Crusadia Avramax. And the way you would do that is you bring back Souls, turn Souls into Link Karibo, wham, bam, Avramax, man. If not, and you've got access to access code, then you just go, cool, Celine, bring back whatever you do, go into access code, thank you very much, access code gain 3k. If you've gone the Halley Firebrax route, if you've gone the Striker route, you're going to have 3 different attributes in the graveyard. Banish, pop, let's go game. Simple as that. So the budget options for your extra deck, and mainly the only ones you really need to worry about is, I mean, Verte you don't really have a close alternative to, but this just takes out Goon. So if you don't worry about that, that can then become IP Masquerena, which then means you can take out your Red Eyes Dark Dragoon and not need to worry about that package. You literally just go, cool, Link Karibo and IP. And then if you're like, right, I don't have access code, what can I take that out for? Well, you yeet that out and you go straight into an Avramax and you still got the same combo. Off the back of that as well, if there is anything you are still missing or anything you don't have access to, Titaniclad is an option, but you've also got the Unicorn Phoenix and, of course, Unicorn Phoenix, both the same. So you've got Nightmare Unicorn, Nightmare Phoenix, Nightmare Cerberus, should you want to. So you do have a lot of alternative options, and like I said, the best thing about this particular deck is that its boss play all comes naturally through the Buster Bladers, and you're just adding additional, not even engines, additional power plays to the back of it. So, with all of that out of the way, I'm now going to zoom out, show you the 1 card and 2 card combo that I've shown before, but it's very nice to kind of get all the videos in one place for you guys to be able to see and enjoy. So, let's zoom it out and we'll go from there. Okay, so very simple. Your 1 card combo just consists of your Buster Whelp and Hope They Don't Ash Imperm Vader you. And then your 2 card combo just requires a extender. To get the best possible outcome, it needs to be Magician's Souls, because it puts Dark Magician to the graveyard in this particular build. If you're playing Red Eyes Fusion in your build, then any extender does the job just fine. So we'll stick with just the 1 card combo for now. So you normal summon your Buster Whelp, use its effect to add yourself a prologue. Nice and easy. And then obviously off the back of this, very simple play from here. You turn this into... Well, you don't really need to turn it into anything. You could turn it into Striker Dragon just to give you an extra dragon on the board. But you kind of want to get rid of it in order to have a bit of protection. So that's possibly where you're going to want to Link Karibo or something different, just so you don't get absolutely smashed in the face. Then what you're going to do here is you're going to go Prologue Destruction Sword, flip this during your opponent's standby phase. That's going to send Destruction Sword of Memories, and then it's going to send a Buster Blader. Doesn't really matter which one you send, but there we go, Buster Blader. That's then going to allow you to Synchro Summon out your Buster Dragon. Very nice, simple and easy. You're then, again, before your opponent gets a chance to breathe, just to make sure you're covered, is you're going to banish the Destruction Sword of Memory, which is going to banish your Buster Whelp, plus your Buster Blader, and that is going to give you your Destruction Sword. Where are you? There we go. So now, all your opponent's monsters are dragons, they're all switched to defense, they're all negated. Now, to up this a level, all you need to do is add an extender. Now, I'll show you the Red Eyes Fusion route, but basically we'll use Magician's Souls as the ideal of the nuts of a combo. So, resetting this, very, very simple. Okay, clear that off. You've got your Buster Whelp. Now, keep in mind that either components of this can become Where Art Thou, so you do have additional 3 copies of these. Now the idea is whatever one you want to start with, Magician's Souls. If you have traps or spells in hand and you don't want to do it, you don't need, then of course you can use Magician's Souls effect. That will then try and bait your opponent out if they want to try and stop it, or Ash it or anything like that. Dark Magician goes to the graveyard. You're then going to normal summon your Whelp. You're going to do the exact same play. Your Whelp is going to get you your prologue. But now, in this particular example, you've got two routes of play. To get the Buster Bladed Destruction Sword to the grave, you need to go into Halifibrax. To just go straight to Verte, you can do as well. But you go Halifibrax, effect of Halifibrax goes off. This will then summon out your Buster Destruction Sword. Now, keep in mind, before you do this, you want another dragon in the grave. If you've got Red Eyes Fusion, you don't care. You just go Verte. Verte send Red Eyes Fusion, Red Eyes Dark Dragoon. Off you go from there. But in this one, because we want to have an additional dragon in the grave, link this off, go into your Striker Dragon. Striker Dragon plus Halifibrax gives you Verte Anaconda. Wham, bam, thank you, that's all I need you to do. Activate Verte Anaconda. This time, all you want to be doing is you want to send Magical Eyes Fusion, banish Dark Magician, banish Buster Whelp. Nice and easy. Well, it doesn't even need to be Buster Whelp, actually. We'll keep Buster Whelp in the graveyard just to be safe. We'll banish the Striker Dragon, and that is going to allow you to go wherever he is, after I've sent Magical Eyes Fusion, of course. Mr. Dragoon. So, ideally, you're going to still have 3 more cards in the hand from your opening hand, so you're going to have the discard fodder for Dragoon. If you don't, then you're going to play a little bit differently, but, you know, use your brain on that one, guys. You then, during the standby phase, again, flip the prologue. Prologue is then going to send the 3 cards I've just put into my hand. It's going to send the Memories and the Buster Blader, and that's going to give you your Buster Dragon. Now, obviously, if they do have Super Poly, they're just going to shotgun this during the standby phase. But if they take too long, then they're going to be in trouble. Then, obviously, off the back of this, what you want to do is you want to go... that's also a very nice kind of spot where if you shotgun Red Rain a little bit early, you might be able to protect it. You're then going to banish the Destruction Sword of Memories. You're going to banish a Buster Blader plus your Buster Whelp. Make sure you keep the Destruction Sword in the graveyard. And that is going to give you your Dragon Knight. There we go. And keep in mind as well, if your opponent's trying to stop, this is what the big thing about the Goon is. If your opponent tries to Ash this, that's where Goon comes into play and goes, no. So you've done this. You're then going to use your Buster Dragon's effect, quick effect, to target the Buster Whelp in the graveyard. You're going to equip it to your Buster Blader Destruction Sword, and that's it. So again, keep in mind, you've still got 3 cards in your hand. So you've got a Dragoon Negator's live. Your opponent's monsters are all negated. They're all dragons. They're all shifted to defense. Unless they're a link monster. They're not going into the extra deck, so they're not going to have a link monster. And then if your opponent passes your turn there, this is going to get destroyed during your end phase. So all you need to do, and let's just say they pass a turn, we draw a card, we're going to unequip this. You're only going to do this if you've got game, by the way. Don't do this if you don't have game, otherwise it'd be very silly. Obviously, just by unequipping that, you've got a straight link 4. So you're good to rock and roll there if you want to. Otherwise, you're just going to sync these. Like, let's say your opponent sets 5 and passes. You're going to sync these together. You're going to go into Abyss. Keeping in mind that by doing this route of play, he no longer, all your opponent's monsters are no longer dragons, so they're not going to be beefed. But he's not got, your opponent's not got anything from the extra deck, so the best thing they've probably done is set a monster pass. So you go Goon, blow up that monster, and then you're going to go 3,000 or 4,000 if you haven't negated, 3,000 there, and Verte is going to go for 500. Obviously, this card can't attack directly. So even then, you might be better off just attacking the set monster, do piercing damage. If they've forgotten about that, 3k, 3k, 500. So you should pretty much have game from this point. And that's just pretty much where you want to go for. You still have 4 more cards to play with. We didn't even normal summon. If you didn't want to go Abyss, that's Access Code, that's Avramax, that's you name it, you've got the ability to do it. And that's it. Like, I absolutely love Buster Blader when it worked this way. It was such a shame. It was one of the biggest casualties of Master Rule 4. And then they've kind of fixed it going into, you know, with Master Rule 5, which is very, very nice. And it's still one of my favourite decks. I picked up alternative arts for the Buster Bladers, and I was actually really happy when they printed the Buster Blader as a secret in Speed Duels. I was like, okay, cool. This is probably the best Speed Duel product ever. I'm not going to say that about any of the other products, but still incredibly good. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share. Hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you are going to enjoy Anime Week with us as well, or Anime Month technically. So from Monday to Friday, we will be doing different anime-based decks. So Mondays will always be original Yu-Gi-Oh! Tuesdays will be GX. Wednesdays will, of course, be 5Ds. Thursdays will either be Arc 5 or will be Zexal, and then Fridays will be Link Vrains as well. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, share. Till next time, guys, as absolutely always, stay safe and, of course, happy dueling.